I'm only speaking for myself and a little bit for Pxie, okay? I'm not speaking for any of the other victims involved. He is like a nuclear level of careless, destructive, self-interested, just like all the bad, every bad adjective you can possibly think of for a person is embodied in this piece of shit. Pxie was not doing very well in the last few months, like over all of this, and we acknowledge that her going public right away would only make that much more stressful for her and very risky for her. So I don't really like the way most people have covered a lot of this with the sweeper hunting or the like punitive internet mob justice. I don't think that any of them care about victims. Okay, the suspense. Oh, fuck. There's no suspense, okay? I'm not going to say anything mental. I'm not going to say anything particularly new and exciting. Okay, so about this recent sequence of events, just to clarify a few very basic things, my role in all of this thing that's been happening regarding Stephen Bonnell II and everyone else surrounding him, my role in this entire thing has been to support Pxie behind the scenes. Okay, that's what I've been doing. She has her legal fund up. You guys can go look at that if you want. It's on Twitter. I'll drop a link of it in the chat. Anyway, just to clarify, for everyone who has decided to give their little 2 cents about my current or previous relationship status or any, first of all, I hate you. Okay, you're a bad person. I hope you understand this. Let me just explain. Okay. Look at chat. Let me think who we got here. Oh, Conady. Conady in chat. There you are. Conady. You've been subbed for at least 4 months. You got the full box. Okay. Conady, what's your relationship status? Who are you shagging? Who are you loving? Inform me of the whereabouts of your general and 2 colonels. Give us the court. Okay. Conady, we're waiting. People are going to start speculating soon, buddy. People are going to start offering theories. Okay. It's in the public interest now. You owe us. You understand? Do you see how weird that is? That's weird. Okay. Me and Pxie are friends, okay? That's all you need to know, okay? Everything else, not your business. Go away. People are also suggesting that over the last few months or year or whatever, like I was like wronged by her in any particular way. I don't feel like I have been. I'm not aware of anything that she's done to me that was wrong, so that's it, okay? That's all you need to know. If you're expecting any spicy new information that hasn't been covered by other streamers who have been reading apparently like everyone's DMs through this, because that's the thing. If you're expecting anything new like that, I'm not really going to give anything that you probably wouldn't be able to find from any other streamer. My understanding is that when there are legal things going on and you might know things other people don't, etc., it is shut the f up Friday, okay? I'm going to follow that rule, all right? It is not Yap Your Trap Tuesday. I have a feeling other people haven't really been aware of that rule, but it's okay. Mostly, there are just some kind of like loose ends going on. Some of them are maybe a bit more serious than others. Some of them are just completely trivial, like mostly the stuff concerning me. So I just want to address a few things, and these are mostly things that Pxie would sign off on as well. So hopefully, going forward, some of you guys can have a bit more clarity and something to reference going forward. So, as for Destiny, well, now I imagine you guys know why we're not talking. I learned what happened regarding him and Pxie and everyone else about mid-December, I think, maybe a little bit after things got leaked on Kiwi Farms. But if you don't know the story, in about mid-December, I learned that, first of all, before that, I learned that there was a leak that some of Stephen's intimate videos and images had gone online. Apparently, someone that he was messaging got their security compromised either by someone they know or by a hacker. Not too sure. And yeah, a bunch of his videos got spread on Kiwi Farms. He was a victim of revenge porn. Then I later learned that some of these videos included other people who apparently, who did not give consent for those videos to be shared. One of whom was Pxie. So Stephen was sending videos of Pxie's intimate images, like sex acts, without her consent to other people. So I've got that information before the end of the year, and I don't really know exactly what to do about it. But the decision that was made pretty quickly between me and Pxie and was just to not draw attention to it, because most of what was going on with those leaks had drawn attention to other people and other things. So the idea was between me and Pxie was that that talking about this publicly would only draw further attention to it. So, and that's even if it was vague posting. We kind of agreed as well that even vague posting about it would result in, because of Kiwi Farms and their schizo speculations about me and Pxie that have been going on for quite a few months, most of which are inaccurate, that even me talking about it vaguely would have drawn attention to her, which we didn't want. So I made the decision to quietly distance myself from Destiny. You can tell that's why between December and now, I think I maybe reacted to a couple of clips, didn't really mention him all that much, didn't ever go in a stream. And that was the way I was going to approach it for that time being. This obviously became progressively frustrating because on one end, I've got people in my community being like, why aren't you talking to Destiny about this? Why don't you talk to him about this? Oh, he's got this take wrong. You should jump in and fight with him about this, or react to this video. So that got a bit irritating. On the other end, I've got people who are kind of getting a whiff of what's gone on, but they're also embellishing the story. They're also adding a lot of interpretation to it that's not necessarily true. And then seeing that appear in my comment section, and accusations of sweeping are starting to come up, like accusations of running cover for Steven are coming up, especially given that it's someone that I care quite a bit about involved in it as well. So that's going on. And then so every year, for those of you who don't know, Destiny's community does like an awards ceremony thing where they do like the meme of the year, debate of the year, etc. One of them is ally of the year, and I won that. I learned about it after I won it, so I was like, yeah, this is getting a bit uncomfortable. All these things going on under the surface while I'm trying to stream and do my thing. And that on top of just a few kind of like underlying personal issues that I was having that have really lasted probably a few years and haven't really addressed it. Just a lot of things at once was just becoming a bit too much. So I decided that I wanted to take a break. That was where I was. There was no primary reason. This obviously didn't help. Like having to deal with all this behind the scenes was a bit of a pain in the ass, but it was also on top of other things that I probably won't talk about until a little bit later. But unfortunately, on that little stream where I announced I was taking a break, and a moment of weakness, I shouldn't have done this, someone in chat was saying, hey, you and Destiny make a really good team. Like maybe you guys should do more content together. And I just went, no. I shouldn't have said that. I should have just ignored the comment because that was apparently enough. Turns out that I was right. That little vague post was enough to put that under the microscope of people like Bad and Panada and Mike from PA and ultimately Hassan. So that was nasty. They obviously started spreading a narrative about why I was taking a break and completely changed like every single detail of what was going on. They said I was quitting. They said I was trying to blame Hassan for it, which I never did. You can go and watch if you want. And then they tried to say that I had been cheated on, that I was covering for the guy who like I'd been cheated on with. Like just none of this is true. Okay. None of that's true. I stayed quiet because Pxie wanted me to. Okay. And I respected that wish. Then, from what my understanding is completely unrelated, this event, President Sunday puts out a video where he has a very surprising amount of access to DMs between Pxie and Steven, between Pxie and Erudite, like he has access to a lot of that. And we know now why he does have access to all that. I'll get to that in a bit. And then after all that, but under the scenes, Pxie is throughout this entire time not really sure what to do. She's considering going public. She's considering trying to resolve things behind the scenes. I think it kind of becomes evident that that's not really happening at some point. But because President Sunday puts out this video, which is full of leaked DMs, some of which are out of context, and painting Pxie in a very, very unfair and I would actually argue defamatory light, I think she ultimately felt like her hand was forced and then decided to go public. None of these events are coordinated. They were not planned. I don't really think, well, as far as I know, I didn't plan for Pat and Panada and Mike from PA to jump on me like that. I had no idea what Sunday had until the very last minute, until on the day. So that's kind of the sequence of events. Just a massive constellation of bullshit from every side of the internet. Obviously, most of these people all have only one agenda, and it's that they hate Destiny and they want to destroy him. I really don't think Bad and Panada or President Sunday or any of these people care about the victims involved because they didn't ask. They didn't ask before talking about this. They knew that these people might have reasons to want to keep this quiet for now. They ignored it. All the same, as for Stephen's actions, obviously sharing people's intimate footage without consent, especially to someone that you don't know or haven't met in person, and apparently also, I don't know how to say apparently, but 99% from where I am, recording intimate acts without consent. Like, in both cases, these actions are completely reprehensible, just unacceptable, disgusting, cunt thing to do. There are other people who obviously are still going to watch Stephen's content, and maybe one or two people who still want to make content with him. You do you, okay? I don't really care. But from where I am, I don't really want anything to do with Stephen ever again, I don't think. There is a world where, you know, people face justice and there's rehabilitation, or they learn from their mistakes and everything. But from where I am, I'm not really interested. And his behavior following that, although I have only seen snippets of it, but based on what I've seen following that, I don't imagine that's going to change anytime soon. Anyway, there are unfortunately some misconceptions going on around all of this, because now everyone has a hold of it. Everyone has a hold of the story. Everyone's making their content about it and giving their hot takes. So let's have a start. One of which is this. So now, just so you guys know, Pxie has gone public. She has a legal fund. She's pursuing justice. I think a few other people are coming forward with that as well, with legal complaints. I know Cherry is at least one other one, maybe a third one. Anyway, it's quite big. If you want to learn about all the details about who said what in every DM and everything, go watch someone else. Okay, I'm not going to give you the entire scoop here. There's one accusation here, which is that Pxie only wants money. Okay, this has come from, at least this is one of Destiny's logs in his DGG chat. This is also an accusation that's been made by President Sunday as well. Neither of them seem to have mentioned that as part of this, talking about what kind of penance can be paid for what happened to Pxie, because obviously her trust was violated in a pretty egregious way. She did offer that if money was paid, if that was like the solution to this issue, like it could go to charity. She was okay with that. She offered that. This is her DM, I think, to Kyla. I don't think if Stephen faces consequences, he will change and he will do this again. If he wants, he can donate the money to some charity or organization. I just think that other than jail, or even more than jail from the studies I've read, money is the strongest reinforcer and losing it is the strongest punishment. I do not believe he will stop his actions unless he faces some kind of punishment. So that was the idea, right? So she did offer that this money could go to charity. And what's interesting is that when President Sunday made his video about all this, he didn't mention that. He deliberately omitted it. He had it, but he wanted to accuse her of extortion. Okay? He wanted to accuse her of extortion, which is, I mean, I would argue that's defamatory. That's a really insane, irresponsible thing to say. Yeah, we'll get more into Sunday's video later, but my God, like that was just, it's such an obscene thing to say, especially when you've got evidence to the contrary. In terms of being mad at particular people, I will never, for the life of me, understand why Erin StraighterAid thought it was a good idea to share those messages with President Sunday, because this is what was happening. Erin was getting messages between Destiny and Stephen and Pxie and Erudite, and then she decided to send all of these screenshots to President Sunday, who I guess she trusted as a friend. That's the charitable interpretation. She trusted as a friend to give her advice or whatever. But can you just imagine knowing Sunday's motives and his state of mind, like trusting that level of sensitive information with the most graceless human cumsock on the internet? It's like you might as well have given the nuclear codes to a 3-year-old. I will never, as long as I live, understand that decision. It's insane to me. Anyway, I guess what's happened now that it's in the eyes of the public and public creators, people are obviously taking it upon themselves to deliver internet mob justice in the way that they think is the most appropriate. So I want to cover at least a few of those people, because I think some people have been treated incredibly excessively due to this, which is obviously going to happen. Mob justice is not necessarily fair. It's kind of the problem with it. Dan being one of them. There was, in President Sunday's video, he posted, I think it was President Sunday's or Beckett's, I can't remember. They're all the same to me at this point. They showed what was supposed to be like a draft of Pxie's statement. And in it, she mentioned something about Dan telling her not to talk about this publicly. Okay? Now, there's a very good reason, and Pxie will say this as well. There's a very good reason that is not in her final statement. Pxie did not want to attack Dan as she went public about this, okay? She chose not to. She thought about it at first and chose not to. And the reason she chose not to is because Dan did not do anything, like, behind the scenes. I don't think Dan did anything particularly wrong. Like, he spoke to Pxie once, I believe, and it was after he heard from me that I was worried about her. And obviously they live in the same city, they live in Miami. He maybe has better like advice or opinions than I do regarding American stuff and like stuff that might be criminal or legal or whatever. So yeah, that's the only circumstance under which Dan spoke to her. Now Dan, I think, did suggest that it would be a bad idea for her to go public, but the fact is quite a lot of us did, okay? A lot of Pxie's very close friends did. Not because we wanted to protect Stephen from the public knowing about these claims, because it was to protect her, right? And she felt this as well. Pxie was not doing very well in the last few months, like over all of this. And we acknowledged that her going public right away would only make that much more stressful for her and very risky for her. So it's not like anyone was saying like, don't do this, you should stay quiet or anything like that for like some ulterior reason. From everything I know about Dan's interaction with Pxie before this went out, he was being supportive, okay? And I don't think Pxie would say otherwise. I think this all or nothing approach that people are taking to other Destiny associates and orbiters or whatever you want to call them, I think is just like, it's really unreasonable. Obviously, some people are unhappy with Dan's decision to keep on working with Stephen. If you want to attack him for that, like, I guess if you don't like that, go ahead. But as long as you know exactly what you're attacking someone for, because the problem, again, with the last time something like this happened, with when Kiwi Farms was involved, and it was when the spearhead was Keffals, right? And I think if you guys noticed, Keffals was making enemies absolutely everywhere when this happened, because it was all or nothing, right? If you guys haven't noticed, Pxie is kind of the opposite, right? She tries to see the best in people. She is like an obscenely like noble character when it comes to treating other people and trying to treat other people fairly. Like, she tries to do the right thing. She tries to see the best in people, not because she expects anything back from it or anything. It's just that's the way she is. And I think it would be quite helpful if people could maybe like take a bit of that with them, because the accusations of Dan for like sweeping or anything, like there were a couple of things he said that were pretty irresponsible. One thing that he said in JStock stream a while ago, but the overall impression, like his overall behavior towards this has not been like antagonistic towards the victims. I don't think that's the case. And that's why he wasn't in the final edit of that Substack. I think something similar goes for NotSoErudite, Kyla. I don't think, looking at those DMs, that there's a very strong case that she wasn't genuinely trying to help. She obviously seems to have had conflicting interests because she has a business with Stephen, but she was also trying to help Pxie. I don't think that means she was like completely one way or the other. I think she was in a difficult position. I think, as far as I know now, Bridges is done. She's been occasionally reposting things that are, I think she actually reposted this Stardust tweet as well. And obviously people are doing the same thing as well. There's like a kind of weird absolutism like when people do this thing where they will see someone being a bit more hesitant to come out and speak in kind of like black and white terms, or like in terms of condemnation or support or anything like that. Again, with Erudite, okay, she uprooted her entire life, okay, moved to a different country, gave up everything by the sounds of it, lived in pretty difficult conditions for a while to start this business with Stephen. Sorry, I refuse to believe that any of you would have acted probably like in a more moral way given those circumstances. Of course she was hesitant. Of course she had her reasons that she still maybe wanted to associate with Stephen. I don't think she has those reasons anymore. But yeah, I just, there's this thing that's really fucking me off right now, and it's that people are just kind of, they've moved on from being mad at Stephen, because I guess that's like pretty cut and dry and most people agree on it, but they've moved on from that to now just, I guess, people who want to keep drama content going, or people who want to keep benefiting from this, or just are just, I guess, maybe incensed by the sense of justice or righteous anger, that they're kind of just like, that now what people are doing is they're going sweeper hunting, right? You know, people are like hunting for sweepers. And I don't expect anyone, I'm not going to be surprised when people are going to come for me and saying that I'm sweeping for the sweepers. Okay, it's just like come on, just settle the down. And if you're going to, again, if you're going to come out against someone, just try to make sure you've like understood their whole contribution to this, because the chances are you probably don't. I don't think you can summarize Kyla's or Dan's contribution to any of this in a single tweet or a single clip from one of their streams or from a conversation or an interview or anything. I don't think you're going to get that. Like, and not everything I'm saying here is speaking for Pxie, but that bit I think kind of more or less is. I don't think Pxie has any ill will towards NotSoErudite. So yeah, I think you can probably at least take that one example. But anyway, I'm going to address one more thing, and then I'm probably going to go to the more trivial nonsense. Someone is saying that there's a Destiny log of him saying I got the timeline wrong. I don't remember what I said, but okay. Did I say that I reached out to Steven first? I don't recall saying that. I didn't say that. Did I? Fuck's sake. Okay. I'm getting fed like DGG logs right now. Sake. Okay. If you want to know what happened with me and Steven, he can post all the DMs if he wants. He reached out to me. He was very apologetic. Okay. He actually even said that he wouldn't retaliate to me if I spoke about this immediately, like if I said stuff. He offered if there's anything to do that could help. He said that his actions had put me in a really difficult position, etc., etc. Yeah, like it seemed it was very sincere and apologetic. And then my response was fairly tame. I was just like, okay, thanks. Probably not going to make content anytime soon. And then I left that there. That's how that went. So I don't know why anyone's got the impression that I said something about reaching out to him first. I spoke to him before all this happened, but I didn't reach out to him first. Okay. Anyway, for the slightly more trivial stuff, because obviously if it's involving me and far leftists, you know that there's always going to be some fucking chaos going on. Anyway, okay, that's all the stuff that I think Pxie was okay with me addressing. Let's move on. Mike from PA. Sorry, wait. Mike from PA. So I announced that I'm taking a little break from streaming, and sake. This is unbelievable, okay? I announced that I'm taking a little break from streaming. You can see the stream. It's all there, okay? As I'm taking a break, I'm not really disclosing why. I'm not really saying why. I'm alluding to a few things. I was asked by a chatter, okay, if it was to do with Israel-Palestine. And I said no. And then because what happens in streams is people tend to go on tangents, okay? People go on tangents. And as part of that little tangent, I decided to just talk a little bit about how it was kind of frustrating the way that Hassan's and Banabana's community were being with me, and a lot of like smearing and disinformation and like constantly saying that I was like paid to go to Israel to defend the government and shit like that. Yeah, I mentioned that, but that was a tangent. I was asked a question by chat and I said, is this the reason you're stepping back? And I said, no. So people take that story, okay? People take that story and turned it into me quitting content creation, giving up, okay? Getting cheated on. Every single bit of information here is wrong. And this was the story that he was willing to jump on because I said to 300 people on a stream that I was taking a break. Like, what the fuck? And that wasn't all he did. He also DM'd me. He actually sent me he unblocked me to send me a message on Twitter. Okay. Hey man, just want you to know that we are never going to let you forget. Every time you poke your head up, we are going to expose you as a genocide apologist. Forever. He took a new line to say forever. What the and if that was, he unblocked me after sending this, by the way, just to get one in, just to get a little jab in on the couch. And then he also commented on the stream with a little gloat. And it's interesting now that he's being so performative about his support for Pxie, and he's been out there fundraising and shit on his stream, which is interesting because given the fact that he already seems to have a whiff that something pretty bad had happened here with this, given that something bad had happened, he still decided to just gloat about it, first of all, to just take it out on me. Like, that's mental. And the reason he believes all this is not because he watched my stream and misinterpreted what I said or anything like that, or misread what happened on Kiwi Farms or whatever else. He did this because he saw it in a Bad Empanada video. I think TLDR, guys, just a little public service announcement. Don't get your news from Bad Empanada, okay? Please. He's a liar. He's a professional liar. It's his job to lie to you, okay? Like, that's his job. Like, he's a liar. He literally took every single part of the story, botched all of it, and then just, this video's still up. Every single detail about this is wrong. And this is all when they've already got an inkling that someone has been leaking sexual videos without consent. And they're just gloating about it and making cuck jokes and like, come on. Hang on. It's funny as well because he also decided to go on and make a correction of this, but like the correction he made was wrong as well. I wonder if it's, yeah. He made a correction after he realized that everything he said in this video was total bullshit. And then still everything was wrong again. He said, what? Oh, it might not be true that I was cheated on, etc., etc. But then he still goes on to say that, like, oh, he must be staying quiet because he's trying to sweep or anything like that. It's just like, what a state. And he also decides to disparage Pxie at the end here as well. The weirdness of sleeping with, like, come on. So that was interesting. It was also, at the very least, you know, at the very least, Hassan was willing to say, oh, I'm not sure about that, when he heard this story for the first time. He signal boosted the shit out of it and then said, oh, I don't know about all that. That sounds crazy. So, you know, a little bit having it both ways. In case you're wondering, by the way, because I guess she's maybe a bit too polite to do it, but in case you're wondering who this tweet is about, also, if you're a leftist who has talked about the situation without so much contacting me, you owe me an apology. On top of being a victim of revenge porn, I now have to deal with people lying about my dating life and further dehumanization of me. Yeah, this is about Bad Empanada and President Sunday. Yeah, this is obviously about them. Obviously, none of them care. Big deal. Anyway. What a mess. Obviously, Hassan, bless his heart, decided to jump with this as well. Lonerbox quit streaming because of Hassan. Again, never said that. Never said I was quitting. Never said my stepping back was because of him. This tweet is fake. Yeah, obviously, dumb fuck. It's funny that Hassan actually thought this, though. He thought that I decided to take a step back because I couldn't handle what was coming from him in terms of the amount of bullshit that he said about me. His response to that was just to say that he'd only spoken about me once. In this video, Hassan just sits there and says, bro, I only talked about him once for 30 minutes. I'm like, mate, what are you talking about? You have an online footprint. We can see your videos. We can see the amount of times you've said that I was paid by the Israeli government to support war crimes. And like, come on. Anyway. It's just, again, seeing how all of this unfolded from these guys, from Mike, from Hassan, from Bad Empanada, like, I don't really like the way most people have covered a lot of this with the sweeper hunting or the, like, punitive fucking internet mob justice or the way that the tankies have handled it, obviously, because I don't think any of them care about victims. They just care about destroying Stephen. It's like, but the ineptitude of the way they've handled this as well. I swear, like, if there ever was a revolution, these guys they'd all be in the gulag with me. All of them. Just for crimes of sheer ineptitude. It would be me, Hassan, Sunday, Bad Empanada, Mike from PA. We'd just be vibing. So hopefully that clears up a few things from my end. Hopefully. Ironically, the only person I think I've seen who's covered this with any level of, like, care and accuracy for all this has been fucking Queeman. I haven't watched that much of everyone, but he's the only one I think I've seen who was very careful not to leak details about people before anything went public, and after things happened, he was very careful to make sure he had, like, evidence for each particular claim. Like, yeah, he's probably the only one I think who came close to handling this with any level of responsibility. So it's funny that, like, the rest of the commentary community or from, like, the tanky sphere, the people who always tell you to read theory and shit, even though they can't understand basic words, it's like, yeah, Queeman is probably the only one. I wonder how that feels for the other ones, that they basically got outclassed by Chud Logic's twink bastard son. As for what I'm doing, I actually am going on a break after this, by the way. I'm not gonna make a load of content about this. I just wanted to clarify things that were mostly, like, irritating me in terms of the way people were behaving. I'm not gonna make a content arc out of this. I'm ultimately just, like, pretty disappointed. I didn't really want things to go. I really would like to imagine there'd be a world where things didn't go this way, but, you know, here we are. I look forward to some time coming back when I can, like, brand myself as the only remaining political streamer who doesn't have, like, doesn't have sex scandals and doesn't support terrorists. For some reason, it's always one or the other. But no, as much as I'd love to capitalize on this and farm content of it for the next month, nah, the break starts after tomorrow, like, properly, when I don't have to worry about this bullshit. Okay, that's us. Love the misogynistic implications to Pxie by calling you a cuck over all this and not prioritizing victims first. Yeah, it is what it is. If you were concerned about keeping things quiet, what are your thoughts on Sunday's actions? President Sunday? Okay. I need to get all my comments on this in just for the time being. Like, President Sunday has, for reasons that will probably only become apparent to him in the next 200 years, has done so much more damage than help anyone. Usually whenever Sunday does something stupid, I'll be like, okay, probably gonna take a 6-month break from talking to him, maybe a 1-month break, maybe a week. For Sunday, it's forever. There's no. I'd become friends with Hassan before I become friends with Sunday. Like, just so you guys know. What a despicable, like, rancid fucking cunt. Obviously, because he has decided to behave in the most irresponsible, brain dead, destructive kind of way. President Sunday has, I think this is him in Spicy Chat. He's very quickly decided to throw in alternative explanations. Lonerbox is fundamentally self-interested and cowardly. He disappeared more or less silently right when this was accelerating. Alternatively, Destiny had him in mind when he thought of the 20 others he'd take down with him. Part of me wonders if Lonerbox isn't partly responsible for spreading the leaks around. What the f is this? Is this just like play a game of guess the accusation? Random accusation generator? What the f? He's obviously on the back foot a little bit because I think most people agree that he behaved like an absolute cunt in this whole escapade. It was going to come out eventually he was just a catalyst. No, he's not a catalyst. He is like a nuclear level of careless, destructive, self-interested, just like all the bad, every bad adjective you can possibly think of for a person is embodied in this piece of shit. Like, but he got his content, you know? Didn't Sunday also say awful things about Pxie? Yeah, he did, yeah. He went pretty out there. Just to reiterate, everything I said at the beginning of this stream about the Destiny stuff, I'm only speaking for myself and a little bit for Pxie, okay? I'm not speaking for any of the other victims involved. They've got their own opinions and their own stories, and I don't want to write any of them off or anything, obviously. I'm just saying my piece, and I'm saying a little bit of like what Pxie's piece is, okay? That's it. The entire fallout of this is a fucking feeding frenzy. It's pretty ugly. I don't really want to be part of it. I still did actually want to take a break, but obviously this all happening behind the scenes in the last week and a half and me getting sick doesn't really feel like a break. So I'm actually taking some time off now. Okay. I'm not quitting. Okay. Just for the, I know those words sound similar, break and quit. It's easy to confuse the two, especially if you're stupid. I don't know how long I'll be away for. Probably a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I don't know. Just let me figure my stuff out, okay? Be careful out there. Be nice. Be measured. Honestly, right now, I plan on finding a cabin in the woods and living there until sometime next week. Then maybe I'll come back online. Who knows? And when I come back, it's going to be the most awesome, boring, dry, political analysis, reading, foreign policy, and I'm going to love it, okay? Maybe I'll tell you exactly why I wanted to have time away anyway, because it wasn't primarily because of any of the online stuff, nor did I ever say it was. So we'll talk about that when I'm back, maybe. Or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just, this is already so much more of my personal life than I ever wanted in the eyes of the public. It feels kind of horrible. It's not for me. I've learned that the hard way. Anyway, take care, guys. Behave yourselves, okay?